Here we are. We're live from the show floor at Infosecurity Europe in London at the Excel. Dror, it's great to see you.
Great to see you again, man.
I know, we have such good conversations, and I appreciate you taking time with me out of the busy event. It's been 3 days of goodness, has it?
It's been 3 days of non-stop conversations, presentations. It was really a very, very good event. Our first time being in this event in London.
Right.
As you know, we're very focused on the US market, and now because of demand, we're moving aggressively into EMEA as well, starting with London, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of SMEs in Europe as well that need help. And as we've discussed many times, and I would encourage folks to look back at our conversation from RSA, and we actually did a 7-minute chat as well to kind of really get to the point quickly. But what CORO does is provides all of the layers of security that an organization needs based on their desired security posture, their regulatory requirements, their ability to staff and the budget and all these things. You can dial what they need. So I would encourage everybody to look at all the components that CORO provides and look back at that podcast or video we did from RSA Conference. But maybe just a quick overview again, the elevator pitch to kind of set the stage, and we're going to get into some interesting things about the different markets.
So CORO is the only platform that was designed from the ground up to cater to mid-market and small businesses. Unlike the entire industry that is around us here, that is focused on the enterprise and tries to shove an enterprise product down a mid-market company or an SMB's throat, we are very focused from day one on building the right product with the right features for that market that helps them protect their users, the endpoints they use, the networks they're connecting through, the cloud services, the email, the data, all in one platform, one dashboard, one endpoint agent, nothing to, very, very easy to use and very powerful security that even a very lean IT team, let alone a cybersecurity team, can manage on their own.
Right. And we talked about this briefly before as well, but bringing an enterprise product down to the mid-sized market serves the provider.
Absolutely.
not the customer.
Absolutely. I always say that this entire industry is happy to take the mid-market or the small businesses companies' money, but not so happy in building the right product for them. And that's where we come in. We've built something from the ground up that is designed for them, that makes their lives so much easier and lets them focus on their business and not worry about cybersecurity.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of I'm sure there are a lot of similarities, but some differences as well in the different markets. And of course the US is huge, right? And there's some nuances in terms of like privacy regulations, but there are some general guideline NIST that organizations can follow. When you get into Europe, it's a little more dispersed, different regulations as well. What are some of the differences you're seeing as you approach this market?
So as you know, for the last 4 or 5 years, we were focused on the US market, and the reason was we wanted to prove the thesis that this mid-market and small business market is viable. They need what we offer, and we proved that there was a product market fit. The European market actually has a bigger SME, SMB community. As a matter of fact, it's almost by an order of magnitude bigger. This entire economy in Europe is based on mid-market and small businesses. There are enterprises, but they are much fewer than in the US. So I think that from a product market fit, there is a phenomenal product fit here. What's different here is a few things. First off, of course, data residency. We had to open a data center here in the EU to make sure that we comply, we as CORO, comply, and as such, our customers will comply with local data residency and privacy regulations.
And this is for things like email and
for email, for cloud, because we do inspect files, we do inspect emails, so nothing could leave the EU. And with opening a data center here, we were able to do that. The biggest differences were mostly we view the US also as a leading indicator. So SMBs, SMEs in the US understood that they are a target 2 years ago. SMBs, SMEs in Europe are beginning to really understand it now because the attackers have shifted. They've done an awful job of targeting, very good job for them, awful job for the end users, but they've really targeted mid-market and small businesses in the US, and now they're beginning to do that here in Europe very aggressively. So local market, local SMBs, SMEs now understand that we are a target too, and we need protection, and the protection that is being provided by the industry at large overlooks us. So this is really where we come in. So that's one thing that is very different. The second thing that is very different is there are nuances around privacy regulations and residency regulations in different countries. And there is always the challenge that we're now working through in being able to analyze different languages. So the US, one language for 350 million people.
Even just figs, just throw figs in, and that's a fun one, right?
And here, here you have 4 major languages and then 35 others. So it makes it very challenging, and of course...
And we're talking about things like ransomware.
Exactly, so we're talking about ransomware, phishing, spear phishing, HTTP insertions, things of that sort, that now our engine needs to learn how to deal with multiple languages. And we're very happy to say that it's doing it much faster than we had expected because the volume is so large. So we're very serious about the European market. We've built a data center in Germany. We've built a very nice team here in London. We have about 30 people here right now. We expect it to double by the end of this year. And our servicing mid-market and small businesses in Europe is just as critical to the world's health economy, like the health of the world's economy, as it is when we do it in the US.
Yeah, it's an excellent point. I'm going to take a moment to say how impressed I am by your team.
Thank you.
I mean, there's a whole crew of them here. I saw you rally everybody around this morning. The energy is amazing. And they're all super nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Which is an important piece of the puzzle.
So if you read our G2 reviews, you see that one of the key comments that our customers are making, and we have no way to control those comments, is how easy it is to work with us as a company, both partners and customers. They love working with us because we are there to help them. We view this as a mission. Every employee at CORO views protecting the overlooked, as we call them. We protect the small and mid-sized businesses that need protection, and our mission in life is to make sure that, one, we protect them, and two, that dealing with us is as effortless as having your morning coffee.
So the sales engagement, the support engagement, the maintenance engagement, the response engagement, all purpose-built for them.
All purpose-built.
Not just the technology.
Exactly. It's the entire package. It can't be just the technology. Yeah, the technology is amazing. Technology is amazing. Everybody that comes in and sees it, we've had literally hundreds of demos that we've done over the last 3 days here. Everybody that sees the technology loves it. But that's just the building block. It's the technology, it's the sales process, it's the support, it's the help that they get, it's the education that we provide them to make sure that they understand the threat landscape and what they need to do. All of this combined creates a real end-to-end experience for that mid-market customer or small business that they would never get from anybody on this floor because they're not a priority for them. They are the only priority for us.
Yeah, and I have so many thoughts on this. I'll refrain from the bashing of others. But anyway, the point is, very positive experience. I'm curious to know, are there any comments or questions that you've heard these past few days that, I don't know, strike you as different or interesting that
So I think this entire industry is buzzword driven, right? So 2 years ago it was all about zero trust.
Right.
Everybody was talking zero trust. Then last year it was AI. Everybody was talking AI. This year it's platformization. So we have customers coming in and saying, we were first to market with a platform. You know very well that we are a true platform with modules that are attached to it and you can turn them on and off on demand.
Right.
So we are a real platform. Now everybody says platform. So customers are coming in and asking, how's your platform different? And we're like, well, we are a platform. All of these other people that say that they're a platform,
they have a platform.
They're not. They are a product that now changed its name to a platform. And I'm not going to name names, but some of the stories I hear, like there is one company that is an endpoint company that shall remain unnamed that says that they are now a platform, but if you want cyber email security, they're actually selling somebody else's email security, and it's two different products. How is that a platform?
Right. Yeah, well, so many moons ago, I built a platform from the ground up to host, I built a SIM to host security management across a bunch of products. And that's hard. And if you have a bunch of products and then try to add a platform to it,
just not going to work.
We bought a bunch of companies that tried to do that as well, and there's a lot of challenges. And I guess the biggest point I'll make is that when you start to do that, you continue to reinforce the serving of the enterprise, because they're the only ones that
could handle it.
Can deploy a platform in addition to a bunch of products, as opposed to a solution that happens to be a platform from the beginning.
Exactly right, exactly right. This was designed from the ground up for my market, and we went the platform way because we understood that they cannot deal with 15, 20, 25 different products, integrate them, manage them, chase different events on different dashboards. The reason we built this was because it was the right thing to do for this market. We didn't come up one day and said, oh, let's build a platform. We looked at the market and understood what was necessary, and there were three things. One, instead of multiple products, one platform. Two, it had to be affordable,
right?
Because so they could afford it. And three, we had to remove workload because they're overworked. So a lot of the chasing of events and so forth is completely automated in this platform. So we offloaded a lot of the work from humans to machines. And with these three things, we created something that my market can actually take on and be secure and effortlessly not worry about cybersecurity anymore.
Right.
Just worry about their business.
Yeah. Are there any threat scenarios, any response scenarios, any business scenarios that stand out from the European market? I don't know if you find a different sector that's really heavier, or
look, the way we look at this, we don't see any difference in the types of threats, the vectors. They're pretty uniform. The only thing that is different here is language. So the language models are very different. And what we haven't seen in Europe that we have seen in the US a lot of, and we think that it's coming, is very aggressive attacks on the education sector. Where you see in the US, I'm sure you see every week almost, either a school district gets shut down or a school gets ransomware and sends all their students home. We haven't seen as much of it here yet, but we know whatever happens in the US ends up making it here because the attackers learn what works and just import it into this market.
Right.
So I would expect this to start happening here as well.
Yeah, and they expand their business too.
It's a business.
Sadly.
We know cyber attacks are a business, big business, multi-billion, tens of billions of dollars a year. People profit off of it. It's a business, and some of these organizations operate like corporations with a hierarchy and a bonus structure and salary plans for those who excel and all kinds of things. This is a big business. And learning in the US and focusing on the US and getting something perfected from a hacker's perspective, from an attacker perspective in the US, and then importing it or even renting it out into the European market is very common. So a lot of what we're seeing in the US as what we call novel attacks then very quickly become commoditized and then become attack as a service, and then anybody here in Europe can rent the service and deploy it here very easily. So what we've seen on the education front in the US that has spiked tremendously over the last 18 months, I would be, I think we're going to see a lot of this here in Europe as well.
Yeah. So one of the things that Marco and I kind of pulled out from this event is this idea of making difficult decisions, especially when budgets are really tight. And that's this group here that we're talking about, the SME, SMB space, but even the larger ones have this challenge of, let's pick healthcare. Do we provide a better service of care to the patient, or do we invest in cybersecurity? In education, do we provide more educational resources, or do we invest in cybersecurity? And that trade-off, it's a hard one to begin with, but then folks have to answer to others, right? Well, how much did you buy new books for the school? Did you buy online training stuff for the school? What's your view on that? And I don't know if you've heard any conversation or had a kind of conversations where people are trying to make this very difficult decision.
Every day, especially when it comes down to mid-market and small businesses, the reason we created a platform that covers practically everything they would need from a workspace security perspective was because what we've discovered was that they played what I like to call threat roulette.
Right.
Where basically they say, I only have this much budget that was given to me by the Board of Ed or by the hospital, and I was given this much budget. I need to protect this organization as best as I can with this little budget. So I'm going to make my bets on where I think the bad guys are going to come from.
Right.
And I'm going to buy a product and run a product in that space to try to protect that area, hoping that the attackers won't come through the back doors that I've left wide open. And the reason I call it threat roulette is because sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Sometimes you place the bets in the right location, and then sometimes an attacker comes in from an area you haven't expected and cripples a school, cripples a hospital, cripples a business. And when you look at a mid-market or a small business, an attack is an existential threat. When you look at an enterprise, if they actually get breached, they have a team, they have a PR team that's going to deal with the aftermath, they have a legal team, they have insurance, they have a black team, they have a red team, they have a disaster recovery team, they have a crisis management team. They'll be okay.
Right.
When a small business gets hit, or a mid-market business gets hit, and a logistics company can't move its trucks, or a small school can't get their students into the school, that is detrimental. And if you can't move your trucks for 3-4 days because ransomware crippled your servers and you don't know where to send them, that's the end of the business, because your customers are not going to be too happy about that, and they're not going to stick around. So these kinds of decisions are everyday decisions, and the reason we priced CORO where we priced it was to remove that decision.
Right.
You don't need to think about the cost because it's so affordable that you no longer need to play the threat roulette. You can get the entire coverage without worrying about it. But the whole concept of placing your bets on what area the attackers will come from is extremely common in mid-market and small business, because unlike the enterprise, they don't have the huge budgets that basically say, go buy to your heart's content. We had a big a CIO of one of the big banks in New York tell us that he doesn't have a cybersecurity problem, he has an imagination problem. Anything he can imagine, he can go out and protect against. And my customer is completely not in that world.
Right. And they don't want to play at the high roller table.
No, they can't.
One bet and that's it.
That's it.
One bet and that's it. and no guarantee that they're safe anyway.
Exactly.
Well, Dror, it's always a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you so much for taking the time.
It's great to see you here in London, and I'm sure the folks here that run small and medium-sized businesses are happy you're here as well.
Yes.
And if you're here at Infosecurity Europe for the final day, please do connect with Dror and the team. I'm serious when I say they're a fantastic crew. So come see the green shirts and the nice blue, super tall, multi-screen booth that they built, which is pretty incredible as
And
well.
if you can't make it to InfoSec in London, check us out on our website, coro.net.
Very good. Thanks everybody for watching and listening, and hopefully more from CORO. They're doing some really good stuff. So we'll catch you again. I think maybe in Las Vegas.
Maybe in Las Vegas.
Maybe we'll see you there. Very good. Thanks everybody.